There's another crime that is being fought here in the city. We understand that the multisectoral initiative against corruption is hosting a conference to speak about how to fight corruption in the transport sector. Kimani Mbugua is there here in Nairobi. Kimani, good morning. What should you expect different from previous pronouncements on how to jointly fight corruption in the transport sector?
Well, Sam, good morning. Again, it's a multi-sectoral initiative against corruption. This has been an ongoing campaign, and what you said is about what is different from this fight and what is unique about the multi-sectoral initiative against corruption is they have made it broad in such a way that every sector comes together and they try to fight corruption in their own sectors. What we have now here, what we're expecting now is a press conference from people who are involved in the transport sector to see how they can, kind of reduce corruption in their areas. And this multi-sectoral initiative, it's an ongoing process. The initiators of this decided to, come up with a fight against corruption that's sustainable, that's not an event. There was a national convention earlier this year, and it involved the President Uhuru Kenyatta was there, Raila Odinga was there, and every very senior government officials were there. And it's still an ongoing process. But I have someone who can shed more light on that, Mr. Lee Karuri from the Multisectoral Initiative. He's a co-chair in the Multisectoral Initiative. Mr. Lee, good morning and welcome to Daybreak. First, tell us, just briefly explain to us why the structure of the MS, of the Multisectoral Initiative, and how this is important to segment it such that every sector gets to fight corruption in their own style.
Yeah, you see, for a long time, we thought that the fighting corruption was the business of government. And we always kept pointing fingers and saying, how far have you gone? What is happening? But about a year ago, we came together as leaders from the various sectors of the economy, and we agreed that fighting corruption is the business for every Kenyan, every leader, every person, both government and non-state actors. And therefore, we created what is now called the multisectoral initiative against corruption that brings all the sectors under one umbrella. And why we brought the sectors together is not just because of the diversity of the representation, but because we realized that corruption thrives in every sector. If you fight corruption generally, you'll not be able to know where to begin. But if you go sector by sector, then you're going to be detailed, you're going to have evidence, and that is what we are doing. So we co-hosted the first national conference against corruption this year in January, partnership with the government at the Bomas of Kenya. And during that conference, every sector came up with commitments, what they are going to do to fight corruption. The government also came up with commitments. And when we say government, it's across all the arms of government. Each gave commitments what they would do. Now, when it came to ourselves, we are part of the solution. And therefore, we went ahead after the conference in Bomas to put together a roadmap for every sector. Okay. And every sector right now is implementing the commitments they made. So today, we are looking at the transport sector. And the transport sector is a key sector in our economy. And we would like to see what are the measures one of our key sectors is doing to fight corruption, both within the sector and also what they need to be done, interventions within government laws and other regulations that are required to enable the sector to thrive. In the transport sector today, there's a lot of impunity, there's a lot of corruption, yet it is such a critical sector, moving goods, services, people across the whole country. And therefore, in our discussion today, we are having our sector leaders from the transport sector coming to articulate measures they are taking to fight corruption.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lee Karuri. He's just briefing us on what we can expect from this press conference. Sam, leaders from the transport sector are going to be here. Most of them I have seen the draft saying that some of the issues they're facing within the sector of transport is, law enforcement and also county officials extorting people involved in the transport business. They're going to explain that in detail, but for now, that is where we leave it with the multi-sectoral forum against corruption that involves many sectors. But we'll be giving you much more brief about that, but we're waiting to hear from the transport people. What are some of these steps that they are going to put in place, or the recommendations they're going to give towards reducing corruption, or cutting corruption in the transport sector? Sam.
All right, thank you so much, Kimani.